What's going on, guys? E-Bibs here, Mr. Remote Life. So you guys have asked it, you've been in the comments asking. We are going to go ahead and give you an intro video on how to mount this Unifi Dreamwall on your wall and get it all set up. So come along, let's get it done. Hey, what's going on? We're actually on Patreon now. So if you haven't already, jump over, check us out, Mr. Remote Life. We have a lot of unreleased videos and videos that come out first before they ever make it to any other streaming platform. So check us out, Mr. Remote Life. Peace. Alright, so you guys seen it, you've seen the intro, you've seen the thumbnail, you've seen what we got going on. We are working on this dream wall. We're taking it out. So just like we discussed in a previous video, we're in a client's home where we were testing this thing out, and now it's time to remove it. So the easiest way to show you how to install it is to just go through the deinstall. So of course, always you already know, once you open the box, it's just going to be a panel and a cover, and all this is just going to be sitting in the box. So all that's included in the box is a mount and a power cable, and basically a UR code of how to basically get this thing set up. So one of the nuances that I found whenever I set this up, make sure when you're routing your cable, you want to route it through. Let's go ahead and unplug this first. Oh yeah, the locking switch. So there's a locking switch on the power cord. I'll just set that down there. So when you're routing your cable through, you want to make sure that you give yourself enough loop. So right about around of a foot or 10 inches to a foot. So 10 to 12 inches of cable should be enough. Now I'll let you see here, as soon as we get this off the wall, how it looks. So what was here before this was there was actually like a security box. Well, this is a newer home, and they went with a totally different security system. So we decided, since it was already a hole in the wall, let's just use the hole that's in the wall and install it. So let's get you in closer here. So if you guys can see the little, when you're latching on, you want to push this in to where it locks in place. And that's basically how that secures the dream wall to the wall. So when taking it off, you just lift up and slide it straight up. So that's how this mounts to the wall. And this is all included in the packaging. So make sure you use the provided screws, because you want to have enough clearance. And don't do like I did. See, I put a bolt in, as you can see here. I put a bolt in here, thinking that I'm gonna be nice, because I know I got a stud right here on this saw. I want to make sure this thing is really secure to the wall. But no, I had to take it out because I couldn't make the clearance. So make sure you use the provided screws that come with it. They're a little fragile, but they do work and they do hold this thing up. So back to the cabling is what we were talking about before. Right around about a foot of cable, and it just comes straight up. So let's pop this off the wall with my drill. So if you can, you want to make sure you at least get one side on a stud, but this actually does come with wall anchors, and they work pretty good. So this side had wall anchors, the other side wasn't right in the stud, so I didn't worry about this thing dropping. I even went so far as to put in my own wall anchor, and that didn't work because the screw, once again, didn't have the clearance. So there you have it. So basically just cut your nice little hole in the wall, pull your cables through. You can, if you want a more of a tighter fit, go 6 inches on your cable length. Just as long as you can clear, your mount. So if the path was here, that'd be more of a tighter fit whenever it folds over. So it's all about your plan, guys. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna route this back into this box because they're gonna go with the UDR setup, the Dream router here. They're gonna go with that, and we're gonna put it all in this box. So I'm gonna reroute all this cable and then patch the wall up and get it back to normal. All right, so we moved out of the closet because it's really hot in there, and we're actually just sitting down at the desk, and we're gonna go through how to do the initial setup. So let's get the split screen going, and we go right through the workout. All right, so when you first power this thing up, let's get into setting this thing up. When you first power it up, you're gonna have to use the app on your phone. I know all the traditionalists, we want to jump on the computer as soon as we can, but no, you have to actually use the app on the phone and set up the device. If you haven't already, go ahead and set you up a Unifi login, because that's the best way to get this. Hang on, I need to borrow the camera so I can do my two-factor. I always use multi-factor authentication. All right, so we're back up. As you can see with me, I got a few of these set up, or actually a few routers or whatnot set up. So let's see here. If you already have some things, you want to hit the plus sign, and it'll go through and it'll give you, oh, here's the Dreamwall, it's close by. You want to set it up and start connecting to it. Once you're connected, give it a name. This name is actually the name of the actual console. So if you want to call it Dreamwall, I like using fruit names. So I'll say Mango Dreamwall. And then we just call this Mango Net. That'd be the Wi-Fi, right? And then password, typically you want to use 15 characters if you can. I know it's not the most convenient thing, so you say something weird like, and then also I like to use like hyphens and stuff, so it would be easy. So we'll say so it's not really words, so I'm basically saying dollar trust can. So that's just how I come up with passwords pretty quick. And then a lot of times what I do is I take a screenshot of that so I can share it with the user or whatever, save it. We're gonna keep going. It automatically does a speed test as soon as you start setting up. And then once you get through this, you can hop over to your computer and set up the rest from there. So you want to go in, and so they tell you it needs like a minute, 35 seconds or whatever. So what I like to do, I'll go in, and you always have to have a plan. So in this case, we know we're going to have IoT devices in this home. We're going to have your primary LAN network in this home, and then they're probably going to have some guests. So you need to set up at least 3 networks. You need to set up a guest network, you need to set up an IoT network with your Internet of Things, which is like your smart TVs, your Apple HomeKit devices, anything like that. Wall controllers, Nest thermostats or Ecobee thermostats. Anything that's going to be used to have smart home functionality or smart home features, your habitats, even your smart TVs. You want to put all that on an IoT network that's separate from the network you have your computers and all your personal information and stuff like that for. You just want to have that information segment. And then when people are coming into your home, you don't want to just hand out your local LAN password. So you want to set up that guest network and make sure they're isolated. And I can show you how to do all that right here in this in this guide. So once this, we're going to skip ahead, and as soon as this is up, we'll jump over to the laptop. All right, so we're in our Unifi portal, and we can see the Dreamwall. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go in and you want to manage updates. So the first thing you want to do is you want to check for updates on all the things that you're going to be using. So as far as network, we're going to go ahead and hit that update for that. Protect, access, and talk. We're actually not going to install any of those products here at the moment, but you guys, you can see all these devices are actually supported by the Unifi Dreamwall. So if you're going to be implementing that in your location, you want to go ahead and hit that update before you start making any installations or as far as any configurations, because you want to be running on the latest firmware, because you never know what new features has been included in that firmware. So we'll breeze through this update real quick, and then we'll jump right into setting up these VLANs and these networks. We're going to run through the options that's actually right here in this settings menu. So the system is where you can you want to have your remote access enabled, of course, so that way you can configure this thing if you're not at the actual site or location that you're installing this on, and also you can actually check it and log in through your web app on your phone. Here you can rename the console name if you want to change that. You can do your cloud config backups. These are all standard defaults. That's not the location of this, but for demonstration purposes, we're just going to leave it what it is. If you wanted to edit the location, we can do that here. And here's where you have your factory reset. You can transfer ownership. You can turn off the console, restart the console, enable SSH. That's for your troubleshooting, and enable analytics and improvements, and all that does is that just sends data to Unifi. So by default, that is not turned on. Your notifications tab, I typically leave this to default unless it's one of my support sites. So one of my support sites would be like, if I set up my family members or whatever, I want to get a push notification if their device is offline. So I'll set up like a custom push notification and say, hey, your console is offline, and I can send them a text, say, hey, is everything good? Is your internet offline? The storage tab is actually, there is a SD card slot. You have to have a minimum of 128 gigs for an SD card for this to work. So you can't just stick like a 64 or 32, what we have laying around in most of our homes. You have to go out and get 128 gigs or higher. You probably want to do a U3 or better write speed on that card. And what that does is it adds a little more storage to the onboard storage that's already built into the Unifi Dreamwall. So from there, we want to go ahead and jump into that network application, because that's where all the nitty gritty and all the good stuff is. So when you first jump in, it shows right into where your dashboard, and it tells you basically all your IP information. You can run a speed test. We just have this thing up. So there actually is a built-in access point in here. That's why I'm saying there's an access point. And you can just tell my laptop and my phone is the only thing connected to this thing. So, and it just gives you analysis. This is really just like pretty graphical information. It's not like a really pertinent information and stuff. So that's what your dashboard consists of. And then from here, you can see your typology of the network. And as you can see here, we have the Dreamwall and my laptop. So that's about it. And then here, this tab gives you your list of devices, connected devices, some statistics. You're not really going to see much here because this thing has only been up for about 5 minutes or so. Here, you can do Wi-Fi scans. You can do Wi-Fi speed tests in this tab. And this actually shows you what's nearby, what's hidden, as far as like what could be causing interference from your Wi-Fi. So you really use this to kind of dial in your Wi-Fi speed, because if you're getting a lot of interference in your home or in your location where you're installing this, because this can be used in business purposes as well, because it has all the IO support and the 10 gig support. As if you didn't see already in my previous video when I introduced this thing, what I was so excited about is the capabilities of this thing, to where you could use it for like a small business or a nice home that has lots of wireless nodes. So here we want to jump right in, and by default, it automatically sets up It calls it MangoNet. So that MangoNet is that Wi-Fi connection. But what we want to do is we want to go in, and what I like to do is whenever I'm change that default, I don't like it to say default. I want it to actually say MangoNet. And I'll tell you why in a second. MangoNet LAN. So that, what this does is here you can auto scale your network, which I always uncheck because I do not like using 192.168.1.1 addresses because that's your default address for a private address space that most people use. So I'll jump in either a class B or class A address. So in this case, I'll probably do a 30.30.26.1 is my host address, right? So, and then I know you're never gonna exceed 249 in a home, but the capability is there. And what this does, it gives you your slider slash like 22, 23, or 24, which is your default 250. So I jump down to a 23, so I know I'm never gonna run out of IPs in that location because I'm not gonna have over 500 nodes or hosts on that network. And from there, you can see your IP range. So the IP range for DHCP here is 30.30.26.11 through 30.30.27.254. So that gives you basically about 500 usable hosts. But I like to take it a step further. Of course, you have your content filter that's built in, and if you go in, you can actually see, I'll take the first 50 IPs. So I start you at 51 here, and then apply changes. So that lets you know right here, you have 460 DHCP leases that you can assign out on that network. And then we go in and we want to create our Mango guest, right? And then what they can have is, this is where I can identify. So we did a 30.30.26, we'll say 172, or we'll do 192.168.26.1. And here, I know I'm never gonna have more than 249 hosts or guests. So we'll let that stay as the default /24. Well, really, in my case, if it was me in my home, what I would do is I would drop this down. I know I'm never gonna have more than 30 hosts in my home, or 30 guests in my home at once, simply because that's just what it is. So a /27 gets you a good 29 usable IP addresses, just so you know what you have, you know what I'm saying? It's nothing. And then we want to do our Mango IoT. So MangoNet IoT, so that's Internet of Things. And then just so we know the Internet of Things address, we want to have it in the, just for a logging purpose, you want to put this in a different subnet as well. So I would say like 99. So we already know everything in the .99 space is IoT device. Everything in the 30.30 space is a LAN device. Everything in the 26.1 is guest, right? Same situation, we're gonna leave that as a /24. As you can tell, it automatically assigns a VLAN name or a VLAN number to that, to the network that you create. So as you can see here from this generalized standpoint, you can see all your subnets and all your IP addresses. So from here, you want to go ahead and create you a network. We'll call it Mango Guest. Password, we say like, uh-oh. She's thinking, and we're moving too fast. Let's give it a second and let's reload. Oh, it completely reset the the wireless radio. Wow. Okay. So that's new. All right. So in the Wi-Fi space, we want to create us a Mango guest network password. Free play. Here's where you separate things. So that Mango Net LAN, you know automatically, I don't want to use that. This is a guest network. We're gonna have this Mango guest. And you see where it says corporate, you kind of can go in and say, back out of that. We kind of skipped something in that Mango guest network. So where is it? Manual. It's a guest network. So in checking that, what that does is it isolates everything that's in your guest network. So it can't reach anybody else. And you can see here, your guest hotspot profile will automatically be applied to this guest network. Connected clients will be isolated from all other internal networks. These restrictions can be modified in your guest hotspot profile. We're not going to modify that profile because we want to isolate our guests. They don't need to be snooping around on your network. That's just how it is. So now when we go in and we create that Mango guest, nice little easy password that we can hand out, and there, it's a guest network, and we can broadcast it to all APs. But if you had other APs and so say for instance you have different wings or different floors, you can say I don't want the guest network broadcast on this AP, so you can exclude APs. So it's pretty cool, and you can bump it down to where I don't want you guys to have 5 gigahertz space. I want you to just have the 2.4, and we can even throttle it down, so we can give you a bandwidth profile, so you can go in and say, well, I only want you to have a certain amount of speed. We're going to limit you to this amount of network speed. So we're not going to do that here. We're just going to continue on what we're doing with the defaults, and just make little tweaks here and there. Security profile, I don't like having open, simply because anyone that's walking by, driving by, sitting by can jump on. WPA2 works just fine. I would use WPA3 if you were on like your IoT network, if you have more newer devices that actually supports it. So from here, we're just gonna hit add. Then we need to create a Mango IoT. Come on. There we go. Mango IoT, we're gonna give it an easy password because these are pretty hard when you're inputting it into a smart home device. So say run it. 569. Bang. And we're gonna say that's the IoT network. Here I like this is a you can say most IoT devices only run on 2.4. So usually on my IoT network, I disable 5 gigahertz because you don't need it, because most of the devices run on 2.4 only, and they don't even support the 5 gigahertz. So why broadcast that bandwidth speed or that radio interference when you don't need it? And most of the times the devices won't be able to use it. So that's the easiest and fastest way to set up your network. If you guys want to see some firewall rule setups or how to set up site-to-site VPN, we can go through that. Just let me know in the comments below. If you have any other questions, guys, that's it for today. So let's jump to that outro. All right, guys, well, that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, you learned something, and if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because we got more coming your way. And thanks for joining us, guys. And until next time, it's about that remote life because we are doing the things we love and loving the things that we do. We out here. Peace.